Congressman Landsman, your reaction to Matt Gaetz, who, aside from being rude to Ali Vitale, our correspondent, our network correspondent, I should point out, is also misstating the facts about the finances of what happens when there is a government shutdown.
Yeah, I mean, he's not just being rude. I mean, Matt Gaetz wants to be on TV. This is what this is about. Matt Gaetz wants the attention. The attention was pulled away from Matt Gaetz on Saturday when the vast majority of us passed the CR. It was pulled away from Matt Gaetz when we got the bipartisan budget agreement done in May and June. And he's schooling her on how to do TV. That's his thing. He does TV. He's a total fraud. He is a fringe guy who starts fires. He's a conflict entrepreneur. That's what he does. It's chaos and conflict so that he can be on TV when the vast majority of us want to govern. And my hope is that we'll see some changes this week so that we can govern and govern effectively every day.
But Congressman Landsman, I'm going to ask Congressman Boyle as well, who's with us. Will Democrats vote to keep him in the speaker's chair, even though he's someone who has not been, not only not been working with Democrats, but who has gone against an agreement with the president himself and with the Republicans in the Senate and the Democrats in the Senate after the debt ceiling? I mean, he's played it both ways several times.
Yeah, I don't know how the votes will play out, but I will say this. One, the vast majority of us want to govern. If you put a bipartisan bill in front of this Congress, we're going to pass it. And we've shown that with the bipartisan budget agreement, with the CR on Saturday. Number two, there will need to be some changes, including marginalizing folks like Matt Gaetz, who just want to burn the whole place down so that we can govern. And if there's a path where we can govern effectively together, I think a lot of us will want to take that path.
Congressman Boyle, what price might you Democrats ask for? How about suspending action from the Oversight Committee on impeachment?
Well, first, I think it's worth taking a step back and recognizing this is actually not just Matt Gaetz. There are about 20 or so very hardline, firebrand, self-described MAGA conservatives who really have caused a great deal of dysfunction and have turned the House of Representatives under Republican rule into a circus. And Kevin McCarthy has done nothing but enable them. I mean, we saw this going back to January, the very first day of this House Republican leadership. What did we see? The first time a speaker's vote lasted more than one round in over a century. And now we might have the first motion to vacate vote to take place in the House of Representatives also in over a century. So this is a historic level of dysfunction when Republicans are in charge. And it continues a pattern that I saw back my very first term in 2015, 2016, when backbenchers like Mark Meadows and other Freedom Caucus types moved on John Boehner. And ultimately, Boehner decided to retire rather than have to deal with him. So it's more of the chaos and confusion that we continue to get under Republican leadership, contrasted to when Democrats are in charge. We get historic legislation like bipartisan infrastructure and the ability to negotiate prescription drugs.
Well, Congressman, do you think you can get Ukraine funding through, and are you going to have to accept border funding as well in order to get it through?
It is, and aside from being the ranking member of the Budget Committee, I'm part of our U.S. delegation to the NATO Parliamentary Assembly. I will be at our next NATO meeting this upcoming weekend. Many of our NATO allies, I've already heard from some of them privately over the weekend, are quite nervous about this development that has happened in Washington, D.C. Matt actually said something that was correct, believe it or not, when he pointed out that for the first time, a majority of House Republicans voted down Ukraine funding late last week. So it is a worrying signal. That said, however, even despite a slight majority of House Republicans opposing Ukraine funding, still, when you look at the Congress as a whole, roughly 2/3 of the House of Representatives and roughly 2/3 at least of the Senate support the United States continuing to lead the transatlantic alliance and standing up to Putin. So as long as Kevin McCarthy doesn't pander to his most extreme wing and puts that bill on the floor, I do believe it will pass by a strong majority.